13 months into her first term as governor of South Carolina, and already Nikki Haley is one of the most well-known governors in America. She's also the youngest and a star of the Republican Party. Her experiences as an Indian American growing up in the South make her the leader she is today. Jennifer Wishon explains.
Nikki Randhawa Haley was born to Indian immigrants in the small town of Bamburg, South Carolina, a place where things were black and white, down to the people. For a girl with brown skin and a Sikh father who wears a turban, life in Bamburg wasn't always easy. As the only Indian family in town, the Randhawas dubbed themselves the Original Six and stuck together. Haley excelled in school, attended Clemson University, and married her college sweetheart, Michael. But when she decided to run for public office against a powerful incumbent, prejudice against her manifested once again. Her parents always taught her that can't is not an option. It's become her personal motto and is the title of her new book that details her journey to becoming the first female and Indian American governor of South Carolina, a symbol, she believes, of the distance her state has traveled. Because as Haley writes, what matters aren't the disheartening stories that every family has, but rather how the stories end.
Well, Governor Nikki Haley joins us now from Washington. We welcome you to the 700 Club.
Good morning.
I loved your book. I read it cover to cover. It's a great read. Thank you.
Oh, God bless you. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Hey, listen, your grandfather was a captain in the British Raj in the Army. I mean, he was a distinguished-looking soldier, and he was a Sikh. Your parents came to Bamburg, South Carolina. Why in the world would they choose Bamburg?
Trust me, me and my brothers and sister ask them that all the time. It was the fact that they loved this country and they loved the opportunities that this country had. And so they came to visit. And when it was time to go, one of my dad's friends said, "Why in the world are you leaving? This is the best country in the world." And he said, "We don't have jobs." And through some great people, my dad was offered a job at a minority college, and my mom was offered a job as a sixth grade school teacher, and it happened to be in Bamburg.
Well, you have an affinity for numbers, apparently. You kept the books for your mother's store when it was selling a few $100,000 a year, and then it grew to $1 million company, and you were the chief financial officer. Let me ask you something. The president made some extraordinary claims about the Ryan budget a couple of days ago. Did you study what he said, and do you know, I mean, what's your take on that?
I am amazed, because here's a president who a candidate came in on hope and change, and now this is a man who is leading and trying to get reelected on gloom and doom and scaring the American public. The truth is, we've seen more debt under President Obama in his 3 years than we saw in Bush's 8. We have seen unemployment go above 8%, which he said wouldn't happen if we accepted the stimulus. We have seen him start to bully everyone, whether it was in South Carolina with Boeing and the National Labor Relations Board, whether it's the Supreme Court, and now he's scolding the Republicans, saying, "How dare you want to balance the budget and cut?" And, you know, I think he is genuine. I think he is trying to lead our country. The problem is he has failed. And whereas he thinks the answer is to create jobs through government and have government be all things to all people, we're now saying, no, we want to cut back. We think government's not the answer to everything.
You are a leader of the Tea Party. You use in your book the term "the movement." Is it the Tea Party the movement?
You know, the movement was what happened in South Carolina. The movement was the fact that you had this no-name candidate with no one knew who I was. I didn't have any name ID or any money. But what we did have was a conservative message, a lot of passion and grassroots. And we called it the movement. And I think the movement is a subsection of what the Tea Party is. A lot of people who have found the power of their voice. They are reminding government that they work for the people, not the other way around. And they are trying to protect their liberties and their freedoms, and at the same time stay true to what this country was meant to be. And part of that's knowing the value of a dollar. Part of that is taking their government back. And I couldn't be more proud of what we've seen over the past couple of years with people really getting involved in their government.
You were in the legislature. You were a leader in the legislature. You were majority or minority whip in the legislature. And you dared to take on the old guard and you wanted them to put their names on bills, and they thought they should be anonymous. How did that come out?
In South Carolina, legislators didn't vote on the record. And so they did everything by voice vote. And there was a bill that was read across the desk that would give legislators pension increases. They read it across the desk. All in favor, say aye. It was overwhelming. All opposed, it was quiet. And I was mortified. We were Republicans. You know, where was the accountability and transparency in that? So I went to my Republican leadership and I said, I'm filing a bill that says anything important enough to be debated on the floor of the House or the Senate is important enough to know, for the people to know how they voted. And my leadership said, put the bill away. We don't need to have it. We will decide what the public needs to see and what they don't. And I remember going home to my husband that night, and I said, if I can't so much as get the legislators in South Carolina to show the people how they vote on the record, I don't need to be here. And it was a decision that I made to fight. And it was one that, you know, my first year in office, I was chairman of the freshman class. My second year, I was majority whip. My third year, I was on a powerful business committee. And my fourth year, I was chairman of banking. And the year that I wouldn't put the bill away, the leadership stripped me of all those leadership positions and all those assignments. But, you know, while they were trying to show the club, this is what we do to someone that steps out of line, I was trying to show legislators this is what happens when we step out of line. And can't is not an option for me. So I ran for governor.
So
and I am proud to say that one of the first bills I signed, now every legislator in South Carolina has to show their votes on the record, and we went a little step further. They now have to show their vote on every section of the budget so we can actually see their spending habits as well.
Well, your opponents pulled every dirty trick. You know, I was a friend of David Beasley, was kind of helping him, but one of your predecessors down the road when Carol Campbell was in the power seat there in South Carolina. And they pulled everything. They tried to link you with sexual affairs. They did everything in the world, and not to mention the racial slurs. How did you overcome all that stuff?
You know what? It was everything that was wrong with politics. It was everything I was fighting against. So what they don't understand is while they came after me, it only motivated me to want to work harder and try and prove the goodness of the people of South Carolina. And I knew that they wouldn't take it. You know, this all happened after Rasmussen came out and said I was suddenly #1 in the polls. Nobody said a word about Nikki Haley until they suddenly realized we were someone to be reckoned with. And so you had a lot of unaccountable things come out. You had the media pick up anonymous sources and things that weren't credible, but we did everything I knew to do, which is we're going to get there, and can't is not an option. And the people of South Carolina rose above it, and I am so incredibly proud that they said we are not going to fall for this. We are going to make sure that we handle this. I said this is not true, and we're going to go back and talk about jobs and the economy, and the people said you're exactly right, and we were elected.
The governor down there, Governor Stanford, lovely guy. He's such a charming man, and he was one of your key supporters. And then there was that Argentinian lady, and it went downhill from there. Well, how'd you recover from that?
It was a challenging time, and I talk about that in the book because I had talked with him. He had talked with me about running for governor. We went through a lot of decision-making, Michael and I, and it was tough because I announced, and a month later, you know, he imploded. And so there was some anger and the fact that why didn't he tell me? Why did he let me make this jump without telling me? And there was a lot of struggles because all of a sudden I went from being the person that Stanford was going to endorse to the person who couldn't get anybody to return her phone calls. And everybody at that point told me I should get out of the race. And I wanted, you know, so much of what I went through growing up were challenges and facing challenges and taking them head on. And this was one that I thought, you know, just because the endorsement's not there, just because we've lost everything, my mission was still there, which was to bring the reform movement to South Carolina, to make people feel good about their government again, and to believe in myself and know that I could do this.
Well, you're extraordinary. What's next for Nikki?
You know, I take it a day at a time. The amazing thing is I was not that girl in student government growing up. I never thought that I would run for the State House. I certainly never thought I'd run for governor. I'm not a planner. I've never been one that thinks too far ahead because then you're disappointed. God has opened a lot of doors for me. And so I take it one step at a time and do the best I can. And then the next day I wake up and say, let's try this again.
Well, Nikki, we're proud of you. This book is tremendous. By the way, it's available in bookstores wherever they are, right? Amazon.
It's available at any bookstore. It's available at Amazon.com. And if you want a signed copy, you can go to NikkiHaley.com.
Can't is not an option. It's a heartwarming tale of a person whose parents were Sikhs and who has taken South Carolina by storm.
What I love that she said, and it's a question for us all to ask ourselves, wouldn't you like to be proud of your government again?
Yes.
Wow. There's a thought, huh?
Well, the thing that's so remarkable with her, she was always proud of her parents. And I'm proud of my parents. I'm proud of my ancestry. I'm proud of America. I'm proud of the state of South Carolina. I'm proud of the people. I mean, it's a tremendous book. You'll enjoy it.
Look forward to reading
Nikki Haley, a rising star, the youngest among the governors, and who knows what's going to happen. All right.
Well, still to come, we want to invite